So I'm a Gumball fan, right? I used to watch this show of Webbox Replay when I was 8, I think, and I just remember this show about 9 years later. I made my mom make an Amazon Prime account and buy the HBO Max subscription just so that I can watch the amazing world of Gumball over and over again. But the thing is that I don't really watch the entirety of the show, as I always end up skipping season 1. To me, Gumball season 2 is just a better Gumball season 1, and all the other seasons are just better in general. I mean, season 1 still has good episodes, but anything that they did in season 1, they did it better in the later seasons. Anyways, my dad has torrented the entirety of the amazing world of Gumball, and I just watched the entirety of season 1 with him. And today I thought I could do something similar to my Bible video and talk about each episode of this season.
Hi, I'm here to sit on the baby.
What?
Well, duh, I'm the babysitter.
Richard, where did you find that guy?
On the internet?
In this episode, Nicole and his husband has to take a meeting in school, so she puts Gumball and Darwin in charge to babysit Anais.
Promise you'll be responsible.
I promise to be the most responsible kid and will handle my responsibilities in the most responsible way.
Yeah, responsible!
You have no idea what responsible means, do you?
Nah.
Unfortunately for Anais, his brothers aren't exactly the best at being responsible. Like, they destroyed the TV and further trash. I really should have used that episode for my Times Gumball deserves to get executed video.
I can't believe this. I'm going upstairs.
Stairs!
What are you doing?
79% of stair accidents happen on the stairs.
What does that even mean?
The way Gumball and Darwin are treating their sister is hilarious to me, especially due to the fact that Anais is like super smart.
You should always use a fire extinguisher or if unavailable, baking soda. But most importantly, call an adult or the emergency services.
Well, yeah, of course, but ours was a responsible demonstration of what not to do in case of an electrical fire.
You could maybe argue that this episode is kind of inspirited to her, which, fair enough, Gumball and Darwin are really bad at their job, but it ends up being so funny, especially the section when Anais is attached to a leash.
We're gonna need you to wear this.
What?
Well, we don't want you to have any accidents.
Very responsible thinking, Gumball.
So while the kids are fighting over the diaper, they forgot about the bathtub that's overflowing and filling the bathroom and the entire house with water. And their parents are coming back home, so yeah, they're kinda screwed.
Hey, how's it going?
The kids work together to get themselves out of the house, and thanks to Anais' intelligence, they manage to escape. I mean, these sorts of little jokes on each of the characters has always been the show's biggest strength, in my opinion. Jeez, that was a really weird sentence I made. Did that make sense to anyone? Anyways, let's keep going.
Thank heavens you're safe!
So you're not angry at us for trashing the house?
Oh no. Angry doesn't begin to cover it!
Gumball decides to take the blame for Anais, probably because of the way he and Darwin took care of her. But then he gets scared and the family starts blaming each other.
Well, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for you!
Who are you blaming here?
The internet?
Okay, fair
That's good enough.
This episode is actually pretty decent. Good start for the season.
Don't forget to take that DVD back today or we'll get a fine.
Can't you do it? You're the one with the car.
I wasn't the one who watched Alligators on a Train 72 times.
But technically, you rented it with your money.
The money I have to go and earn to feed you kids.
The kids you decided to have.
So this is the very first episode of season 1, but when we got the torrent, the responsible showed up first for some reason, so yeah. Gumball has to give back a DVD they took from, and this accidentally destroyed it when he confronted Darwin. So Gumball tries to find as many ways as possible to not take responsibility.
Dude, it's a letter from Laser Video!
Oh, so what? Put it with the others.
No, this one's red! It means urgent!
Red envelope or red writing?
Red writing on red envelope. It's really hard to read, actually.
Something that I really like about this show is that they really point out when a character is in the wrong, protagonist or not.
The reason you guys are on the streets is to pay a DVD fine?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? People don't understand how hard our life is.
Like, they are not exactly subtle about it in season 1 because Gumball is taking things to the extreme here. But there was this example that I showed earlier, it's the girlfriend. I might do a video about the episode one day.
Can you speak Chinese?
之後，數著些簡單的普通話，之後用作簡單的考習，例如購買波子，但又不能拿嚟運用。
That's pretty funny. Nothing Gumball tried works, and they keep getting letters from Larry, and Nico is coming back up to check on them, so Darwin suggesting to replicate the entire movie with cardboard.
We need to get to Laser Video before Mom kicks our butt!
What did you do this time? Stop right there!
Nico actually looks like she's about to bash her son's skulls in that chase scene. Thankfully for the kids, they managed to get to the store, and we get to see the masterpiece that they made back there.
Oh no! There's alligators on this tree! Thank goodness we got all the alligators off this tree!
Thank you so much for saving us from all the alligators on this train.
To be honest, this has the same quality as my challenge videos, where I just record my Nintendo 3DS with my phone because I can't record the footage directly. It still doesn't work, so they just tell Larry what happened to the DVD and their mom finds out.
What? You made me leave work and chased you through the neighborhood on a dog for $25?
But we were scared to tell you.
Oh, silly. There's nothing you can do that will ever stop me loving you. Come here.
To be honest as well, some of these Gumball episodes have some really great messages behind them. Also, this part is really sweet. It shows that she's a good mother. It's just that she's gonna be really strict to her kids sometimes.
That will be $700.
You see, boys, sometimes in life you really have to face the consequences of your actions. And sometimes you just RUN!
Another episode that's pretty good. Yeah, moving on.
It's time to play Dodge or Dare! Roll the dice, take it. Who am I kidding? We're bored of this as well.
The episode starts with Gumball and Darwin getting bored of the stuff they used to do together, and they realized that they needed a fourth friend to play with them, so they search for new friends at school. I mean, I can relate with that. Also, we get to see Dodge or Dare for the first time.
I can do other stuff too. See that? I slipped over myself.
This episode is not as good as the previous ones, honestly. The execution is not really gripping me. The different interactions between characters are pretty good though. There's just one element I'm not really fond of.
What do we really want from a friend? Well, they should be athletic to protect us from bullies, rich so we can play with their toys, have a colorful personality, and most of all, be really good at listening.
Tobias, no, that is for all you policies they be French. Tobias just coincidentally heard everything they said and he convinces them to be their friends. Not before forcing them to pay because that's what friends do. And it kinda seems like Gumball is being replaced by Tobias as Darwin's best friend.
Yeah, sure, we can have a sleepover. $20.
$10. I'm not coming.
You're not?
No, I'm having a sleepover with my new best friend. Alex. Alan.
Gotta give it to them. I'm impressed that they managed to mix 2D animation and 3D animation together in a real life shot and somehow made it not look out of place. It does look better in later seasons though. Gumball then forces himself into a friendship with this balloon guy Alan, and I used to think that he was a girl because of her voice, but no, it's just because he's a balloon and is full of helium.
Listen, Gumball, do you really want to be doing this? I mean, we've never hung out before, and now we're having a sleepover.
Did I ask for your opinion, Alfred?
Can I at least phone my mom?
Fine, but keep it quick.
Still no hands.
Number!
I think kinda unquad. Is it unquad or unquad? I feel kinda unquad watching this. Gumball then starts losing hope because he misses Darwin, and Alan gives him an inspirational message.
I have to get my best buddy back! But it's too late!
Dude, it's never too late for friendship.
Yes! I'll never forget you, Adam! Andrew! Alice!
Thanks to Alan, Gumball rushes to Tobias' house. It's kinda entertaining at least, and it's better than watching him being sad all the time because of a single kid. What with a police car's license plate? Why is it marked with 5 6s? Does that mean anything? Whatever, Gumball finally arrives at Tobias' house, looking like this.
Gumball! Dude, I'm outside.
Oh.
So turns out that Darwin actually really misses Gumball as well, and they realize what they did wrong, and yeah, it's an happy ending, I guess. This episode was just okay.
What do you want to do today, Gumball? I'm waiting right here for Mom to drive me to Elmore Senior Talent Show. Mr. Robinson's headlining.
But it doesn't start for another 10 hours.
And you're not invited.
The first episode about Gaylord Robinson. He signed up for the senior talent show and Gumball is hyping it up like crazy.
Tonight's the night, Margaret. This town is finally going to see the real Gaylord Robinson. Why can't you ever be happy for me?
Gumball's relation with Mr. Robinson is kinda funny because it seems like he's obsessed with it for no real reason and it has never been addressed.
Please remember me, guys, so I'll always be alive in your heart.
Oh, for crying out loud!
My whole life is flashing before my eyes, and it's boring.
After Mr. Robinson quote-unquote saved Gumball's life, the kid decides to save his life in return, which results in doing more harm than good for this poor man.
He looks so peaceful. Clear!
Like, this is insane. It's like Gumball is actually torturing Mr. Robinson right there. I mean, it's still not as bad as the Squidward torture episodes.
Listen, kid. This is the most important night of my life. I'm gonna shine like a star. And I don't want you around to ruin it.
But I've gotta be there to save your life.
Just leave me alone, kid. Just leave me alone.
Anais decides to give Gumball what he wants by making him believe that Mr. Robinson is about to get assassinated at the talent show.
This is terrible! No, wait. This is what I've been waiting for! Mr. Robinson!
Well, Margaret, it's nice that you finally decided to show your support for me tonight. What do you mean you're only coming to see me fail?
We cut to the talent show and Anais discusses the plan to Darwin and they go all in with the jokes.
Okay, Darwin, here's the plan. You drop heavy sandbags near Mr. Robinson.
What the?
Gumball will notice and push him out of the way. Just in time to save his life. Got it?
Got it! We drop these heavy sandbags onto Mr. Robinson's head.
No, we don't actually hit Mr. Robinson.
Hit Mr. Robinson. Okay, I understand.
Maybe I should try reverse psychology. Okay, Darwin, the plan is we throw all the stuff at Mr. Robinson's head.
That's what I just said.
Just do what I do.
This show is really good with the jokes. Anyways, Mr. Robinson gets presented by his son and goes onto the stage to sing to the audience.
And now I think the time is right to show you what I mean. I wanna sing, I wanna dance, I wanna touch the sky with my own two hands.
I mean, Mrs. Robinson and Rocky Robinson are like night and day in this episode. The song is good and the lyrics are very touching. That's all I can say about the song. It keeps going while Anais and Darwin tries to quote-unquote assassinate him, and then Gumball eventually notices him.
Mr. Robinson! Please come with me now! It's not safe here!
No, go away.
Everyone cheers for Mr. Robinson's performance and I'm just so happy for him. Anyways, Gumball accidentally murders him by activating a platform that slowly crushes him. I like this episode a bit more than the previous one actually. It probably has to do with that song, but it's my opinion, of course.
Go straight over to Walter Crunk. Our big sale, will it?
Can you think of any better way to spend our lives? Dude, I can't even think.
Gumball and Darwin gets the idea that the world will end in 24 hours, even though it's complete bogus. I mean, the foreshadowings, plural, at the start, tells you everything you need to know about the episode.
You want my sandwich? Here, you can have it. Please let me go!
Okay, there's something going on here.
You know, this episode is actually not that bad, all things considered. They were doing this at the start of the episode, and then believing that the world is ending suddenly gives them motivation to live life to the fullest. Sort of.
By the power of the banana, it is my duty to ask if there's anyone here who sees any reason why Gumball and Penny should not be joined in marriage. Speak now, or forever hold your peace.
Actually, I've got more than one reason. Firstly, I'm 12, and so are you.
Gumball goes back home while looking like this and tells them that the world is ending soon. No one believes him except for Richard, because of course he does, he's Richard.
Okay, I'll get you a pony.
Thank you, finally!
As soon as your father starts laying golden eggs.
I haven't given up yet!
Richard is one of the funniest characters. There's so many good jokes. I love it when characters are like cleverly stupid, like this guy right there.
first thing to do in an emergency is to panic and buy everything you can!
Hey, no running in the supermarket!
Okay, let's race walk!
This is pretty effective.
Well, it's an Olympic event, you know.
Richard buys everything at the store and gets himself a toilet and makes everyone go inside this insanely tight toilet.
Dad, for the last time, there won't be any apocalypse. It's just an eclipse.
Apocalypse, apocalypse. It's all the same, smarty pants.
I think this might be easier if we left the TV outside.
Nicole and Anaïs were just about to leave the toilet, but Gumball and Darwin doesn't want to let them sacrifice themselves, so they leave them and go and watch the solar eclipse.
Dude, you just got smooth!
What is wrong with that guy?
Yeah, that wraps it up pretty well. The episode ends with Gumball saying this.
We've learned something today. That every moment of our life should be lived to the fullest, because it could be very long or very short, my friend.
That is very true, Gumball. So what do you want to do now?
TV?
Yeah.
This episode is completely dumb, but I still had a good time watching this. Unlike its sister episode.
Ready?
You can't go to school like that. You're naked.
But I can't find my clothes. Dad!
Oh! Morning, son!
Richard is sleeping in the garden because Nicole told him to not do the laundry, but the clothes shrink during the washing process, and I can't even tell if she was using reverse psychology or if she didn't actually wanted him to do the laundry because now the clothes are so small. Anyways, me being dumb aside, Gumball can't go to school yet, so his dad gives him some new clothes.
What? Mom's wedding dress? I can't wear that!
But everything else is in the wash!
I'd rather go naked!
After getting emotionally blackmailed by his dad, Gumball agrees on wearing the dress, and when the other kid sees him, he decides to change his identity.
Quick, think of a name. Think of a name. Gumball. Oops. Egg.
Morning.
Wobble. Underpants.
Yo.
To be fair, I don't think it's a bad concept. It's just that the episode has some problems.
Psst. I forgot to do my homework. Can I copy yours?
Miss Simeon falls for Gumball's new identity somehow, and he's just as confused as I am. Then Anaïs tells him what's going on.
They think you're a beautiful girl. People will do anything for a beautiful girl. Anything!
You're right. I am beautiful. You really are one smart genius, sis.
Watching Darwin simping that hard for his own brother makes me feel so uncomfortable. Gumball doesn't care though, and is using everyone to give him everything he wants.
She's as cool as nighttime, she's as bright as day. When she looks in your eyes, she takes your breath away. She can move a mountain, make a fire start.
Can't make this up. I mean, I know that this show was made for older kids. It was made for 6 to 8 years old, I think. But yeah.
Gumball, what's going on?
It's just like you said. All day long, people have been bending over backwards for me.
Hey, new girl. How's it going?
That was pretty good. I really don't want to have all of these videos to be completely negative, so I just wanna try my best to point out the bits of gold from these bad episodes.
Meet me at the Stomach Destroyer roller coaster at 6 p.m. Then he put 3 X's to show how extreme it'll be.
It's a love letter. He thinks you're a girl.
Shh. You'll give yourself worry lines with all that nagging.
Gumball meets up with Darwin at the Stomach Destroyer, and he actually tried to kiss him at the ride, so he's terrified. And now he has to tell him the truth about the dress, but he still refuses.
But maybe if I keep up the act, then in a few years Darwin will move on and meet another girl.
And if he doesn't?
I want more kids!
Really funny joke right there. Also, I know this is just Gumball's imagination, but the way they are depicted as children right there makes me think that there's something happening with Darwin's head. So Gumball comes up with a plan to get rid of a persona he had since he wore the wedding dress, and he puts the dress on a balloon and talks to Darwin, who's completely heartbroken when he learns the news.
And although we'll never see each other again, my heart and all my other internal organs will always belong to you.
All aboard!
I have to go now. Bus is leaving. Bye.
It doesn't go quite as planned though, because the balloon got cut off by the bus door and flew directly into the sun. But that's okay, because the actual Gumball is here to make it feel a bit better.
I'm so sorry, Darwin. She was really special. But think of it this way. It's better to have loved and watch that love be burnt before your very eyes than to never have loved at all. So why don't you and me head home, cover ourselves in ice cubes, and jump down the biggest set of stairs we can find? What do you say, buddy?
Okay.
Woohoo!
And the dress falls onto a fire hydrant and Darwin falls in love with it.
I think I love you. Your silence says 1,000 words.
I guess some people just can't help making fools of themselves.
I still didn't like the episode, but yeah, there was at least a few things that I liked.
Gumball, do something!
Sorry, there's nothing I can do, sis. You broke childhood rule number 4. Never get a toy out on a school bus.
You were the one who brought her on board.
Huh.
Gumball gets emotionally blackmailed and he tries to be an actual good brother for once and tries to confront the bullies that stole Anna's plushie. I'm not too much of a fan that everyone except the main characters are just bullies in some of those episodes. Season 2 does a better job writing characters, honestly.
Really? What if I do this?
Then you'd unleash the full fury of my terrifying anger. Mountains will shake, cities will crumble, the skies will be ripped apart, and the meteor of my wrath will grind you to dust. Oops. Oh man, kinda hope you buy the bluff.
Now Gumball and Darwin has to go and try to get Daisy back, but Tina caught Daisy so they can't anymore, and guess what they do next?
It's much better. Look!
我是 Daisy 小驴，我爱跳舞跳舞，我是跳舞小驴。
That actually scared me. The way that Daisy robot disintegrated is really uncanny. Anyways, Anais can't sleep without Daisy, so Gumball has to get it back at Tina's place.
Is that really her bedroom?
It's a dump.
Literally.
It's really sad.
That scene is really intimidating. They did a really great job with the horror element. Also, you can see that Gumball is a pretty good brother and he really tries to take care of his sister, even if he's a real coward. In that episode, I haven't forgotten about the responsible.
Hurry.
Darwin, why are you making that noise?
I'm sorry. I always do it when I'm nervous. Well, stop it.
They eventually manage to grab Daisy for dinner, but she wakes up and now they need to run away from her. The chase sequence is really intense and we get some pretty good jokes thrown in from time to time. That's actually really well made for a season 1 episode. It might be just as good as those intense moments for the later seasons.
Darwin, keep absolutely still. Her vision is based on movement.
That only works in movies.
So that's a Jurassic Park reference that my dad pointed out when we were watching together. I actually wanted to find the exact reference, but all I was getting was this. I linked something that my dad sent me when I was talking about that reference to him in the description, and I'm glad that he did because I'm too lazy to do more research. Thankfully, Anais manages to stop Tina just in time and they celebrate. And then Tina does the thing that Anais was doing to Gumball at the start of the episode, which is actually pretty funny.
Do you know what, Tina? I think you need Daisy more than I do. Yeah, she'll look after you when you're scared. Besides, I don't need her anymore. I've got Darwin and Gumball to look after me.
Group hug!
That was such a great episode. I'm glad that we got more stuff like this in the later seasons.
Mom will be home any minute now. Have you all wrapped your birthday presents?
Yay! And you, Dad, what did you get her?
Nothing!
Richard forgot to get a birthday present to his wife's birthday and gets the very smart idea of letting the kids go buy something at the gas station unsupervised.
Yeah, welcome to the gas station where we never sleep because we're not allowed to.
Hi, mister!
Larry confronts this fingerprint guy that matches the wanted poster in the background and he gets threatened by a spoon. And I recall something that my mom said about fingerprints used by the police to find criminals. They really nailed it with the character design, I think.
Show it again! Show it again!
Okay, but it's the last time. We have to get it back home.
It's like the best gift ever!
Yeah!
Then Gumball and Darwin meets up with a criminal that's stealing a bunch of money and they proceed to rob him for about 5 minutes. It's at least decently entertaining and I guess it makes sense because the entirety of the armor class believed that Gumball was a woman in a previous episode.
You see that man? It'll spoil the surprise if he sees me here. I'm pretty famous in the charity business.
Oh, I get it.
They go and distract the donut cop because cops eating donuts cliché. That's actually kinda clever, not gonna lie.
What would they do about this?
No, please! They'll take it off my salary.
Whoops.
You heartless monster! That was 25 cents!
Gumball and Darwin finds a suspiciously huge stack of shampoo bottles, then discovers a huge safe that's just sitting there in the middle of a gas station.
It's a safe, Darwin. It's full of money. And what do bald people need more of?
Friends?
Exactly! And how do you buy friends? With money! Yeah!
Richard hilariously admits to his wife that he let the kids go out of their own to buy something at the gas station, so they go back in there just to see what's been going on with Larry.
We're never gonna crack it.
You know you only have to ask nicely.
Please?
That's pretty good. Gumball and Darwin goes back with the money and sees their parents tied up and they realize that they were helping a criminal this whole time.
Oh, come on! You really are suckers! Now give me the money!
No! Run, Darwin, run!
Give me that back!
We get a pretty interesting chase sequence where Gumball and Darwin are using the things from the store in order to slaughter the fingerprint guy, but he eventually catches them.
All right, you've asked for this.
Oh my gosh! He's got us found! Such violence!
Nico knocks out the fingerprint guy, but the donut cop comes back and mistakes her as the criminal, so she gets arrested. But that's okay because he caught the fingerprint criminal later on.
All right, lady, give me 5 minutes to do the paperwork and you'll be out of here.
Yay!
5 minutes is all I need.
This episode was kinda alright. I liked some of the stuff that they did, but the previous episode was still better.
So, what do you think of my treehouse, girls?
I just love what you've done with the bathroom.
Thanks. I went for understated chic.
Masami wants a boyfriend to feel special compared to the other girls. I already talked about the character design in the previous episode, but I like how everyone is so different in this single shot. Even the background characters are so recognizable.
Well, I just hang out, watch the boys. Come on, Gumball! Come on, go!
Gumball is in love with Penny, but Tobias and Banana Joe are in disapproval of that because it violates the boycott, so they make a pact.
Wait! Let's make a blood pact!
So anyways, Masami picks Darwin at random and now she tries everything to get into the treehouse. Also, Penny wants a boyfriend just like Masami. I'm not sure when to mention that exactly, but I couldn't just not mention it.
Hello, sweet cheeks.
What?
Oh, come on. He's not your boyfriend, Masami. He so is. Look, hold my book, boyfriend. Okay.
Again with these clear messages. You can really see that Masami's romantic relationship with Darwin is extremely forced. Like, she kisses Darwin without his consent in one scene.
Wanna walk me to the canteen? Definitely not. Definitely not now, but maybe later?
Meanwhile, Gumball's romantic relationship with Penny feels a lot more natural. On a side note, I love how this relationship is slowly evolving over time. Like, in season 1, Gumball is in love but doesn't want to admit it. Then in season 2, he's in love and admits it to everyone. And then in the later season, they are both fully in love.
If you can't see them, they can't see you. Oh! Okay, I think we're safe.
Gumball tries to help Darwin out because he's absolutely terrified of that girl. Nothing they try works, so Gumball and Darwin both ended up at Molly's treehouse, and Tobias and Joe are not too happy about it.
So, girls, where are all of your boyfriends? Okay, girls, confession time. My boyfriend's not real.
It's funny that Carmen doesn't have a boyfriend until season 2 when she's in love with Helen. Same thing with Carrie and Darwin, except this one is a lot more sudden. These characters are fully developed in season 1, so makes sense.
Please, you don't want to kiss me? I taste like fish. Get back here.
Really persistent writing. Gumball was just about to kiss Penny when Joe is cutting down the tree that holds the treehouse, and then this happens.
Wow! That was amazing! Kissing Penny was like being run over by a unicorn.
That was certainly an ending to an episode right there.
You, madam, are suffering from work-related stress. You, sir, are not a good role model. And these two children are clearly lacking in discipline.
Principal Brown made a family reunion with the Wattersons to tell them that he's disappointed in them, so he proposes a program to them that will make it so that they are the opposite of themselves.
Principal Brown, if I may interrupt...
Oh, don't worry, sweetie. It's not your fault.
It's your fault!
I'm sorry, Princess Cheesecake. The sausage fairy made me do it.
Richard screams at the idea of getting a job, and we cut to Gumball and Darwin, who are working with Mr. Small to work on their behavior.
Everyone has anger, Gumball. Just look inside yourself and find it.
Inside?
Yes, anything? No, nothing at all.
Mr. Small is absolutely gutted. He's probably the funniest character in the whole show. Not kidding.
When you think about painting, do you think about something like this?
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong! This is not painting! This is not painting! This is not painting!
I swear, this guy has so many different hilarious moments involving him or others that are in the same scene as him. And this season what scenes are no different.
Now, be the color orange!
That's yellow! I said orange!
That's it.
By the way, you know that video where I was dissecting some videos by Glitter Guy when he found a new topic to milk? Yeah, I used a Gumball clip involving Mr. Small. It was this one right there.
With today's sophisticated recycling techniques, you can reuse old stuff and most people can never tell the difference.
I know that was basically doing what he's been doing for years there, but I mean, at least it was absolutely fitting, I guess. And Glitter Guy does this for the entirety of the video, so that means I'm not an hypocrite.
Okay, Nicole, relax. It's for the good of my daughter, so I'm just going to sit and do nothing. Oh, this is going to be hard.
Nicole and Richard, we're back to the actual episode, by the way. They did manage to follow this sports program.
Destroy this negative feeling!
Yeah! Ow!
Again! 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 No! Again!
Darwin destroys the sign and they passed the test, so they are back home and we see that Nicole is going insane.
Hi, kids. How was your day?
We had loads of fun.
We learned to dance, scream, paint, and smash stuff.
Smash stuff? That sounds interesting.
Principal Brown goes at the Watterson's house and sees that his program didn't work at all, and that's when Anaïs reveals the meaning of her drawing.
That painting says, I love my family. Exactly as they are.
That was pretty cute. She joins the family into destroying the house and yeah, that's pretty much it. This episode was pretty good overall. I really liked the ending, there's some sort of freedom aspect to it, my dad told me that. And I mean, Mr. Sport had a major role in the episode, so yeah.
So remember, you've got to vacuum the living room, sort out the fridge, and don't forget to take out the trash.
Yes, Commander!
Very good. See you later.
Richard tricks his kids into doing his chores for him, and their kids want him to be responsible for once, so he hosts a lazy hour where they try to be as lazy as possible.
What do we do?
We just do everything Dad does.
The concept is not gripping me, honestly, but the execution is not that bad. There's still some fun stuff going on.
Hey, you got a little something on your face.
Where?
There!
Ow!
Sorry, I don't know what's happening to me.
The kids go to a timeout because of a sugar rush, and they try to find someone in town that's lazier than Richard.
What did he say? He's just saying he needs to find a guy to beat his pop in a lazy off.
How about Lazy Larry?
We get a nice continuation of that sugar rush gag, and Gumball and Darwin meets up with Lazy Larry, who's now just Larry for the previous episodes.
Are you Lazy Larry?
No Lazy Larry's here. No.
Well, Lazy Larry, please come to the checkout.
He confirms that he used to be the laziest in the town until he got beaten by Richard himself, and now he got himself a job, or I guess jobs plural. So Gumball and Darwin decide that the only logical thing to do is to rid this poor guy's life.
There's something I've been meaning to ask you.
Yes, Lawrence?
Would you get out of my life?
I mean, it's kinda entertaining, but why? This dude did nothing wrong until he lost everything because of a challenge that Richard hosted. So this ends up being unnecessarily mean-spirited towards him.
So, now that you've lost everything, will you come to our lazy off? Yay, Larry! High five!
So Lazy Larry didn't come anyways because he's Lazy Larry. So the kids ruined Larry's life for absolutely nothing. Great. So they had to continue the lazy off on their own.
Everything all right, son?
Uh-huh.
Good. Just checking.
They find creative ways to be as lazy as possible. This is probably the best part of this episode. There's some pretty decent gags. Richard tricks his kids again into thinking that they want the lazy off, and they made it look like that they were laughing at his dad's suffering. So Gumball and Darwin are punished and asked to do the chores themselves.
You mind moving your feet?
You heard what Mom said.
This episode is still not as good as the other ones, not gonna lie. I mean, the Viking is a better episode with that same exact idea. Also, I'm wondering if Gumball and Darwin's punishment is a way to give them karma for ruining Larry's life at the middle of the episode. Like, they got it extremely easy, but sure, I guess it has been addressed. Carrie can't eat because she's a ghost. See, I like how they take advantage of the fact that the characters in the show aren't human beings. For example, there's plenty of scenes where Gumball is acting like a cat because he's a cat.
Can I have your lunch then?
Whatever. I wish I still had a body.
Why don't you use Gumball? What?
She possesses Gumball and gets so excited at the fact that she's able to eat that she goes on an insane mukbang trip.
No! We got a man down! We got a man down!
I like the way this section is animated. It's really fitting with the vibes. It's kinda hard to describe what this feels like. Gumball wakes up from this play and he becomes completely stuffed, so he becomes completely desensitized from eating anything now.
Feel like helping me eat this sandwich? Sorry, Carrie. I'm not sure I want to do that again. The cafeteria doesn't do refunds, Gumball.
Okay, but just for this once?
Now Carrie won't stop putting Gumball through these junk food sprays, so his family helps him to get her to not do that.
If Carrie likes going inside your body so much, we should make her inside somewhere she won't like.
How?
He tries to repel Carrie by drinking this and it didn't work. He tries to lie his way out of it and it didn't work. Then his mom tells him the solution to his problem.
So, have you actually tried saying no to Carrie?
Huh? No? Why didn't I think of that?
He goes and tells Carrie that she can't borrow his body, but she takes it by force anyways, and now he gets into a fight with her where he beats himself up.
Stand down, Gumball! Never! My eyes!
Gumball really does get the short end of a stick in a lot of season 1 episodes. And even though he did some pretty harsh things in previous episodes, he was just getting picked up when he didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, in that fight sequence he keeps insisting that Carrie can just take his body. And even then, she only stopped when she realized that she's eating garbage.
Anyway, listen, Carrie. I was thinking.
Speed be gone! Speed be gone! Oh, hi, Carrie! Speed be gone! Speed be...
The episode ends with Carrie possessing Richard and destroying the entire kitchen. I still really like the episode. It really gives you lessons about consent. I mean, that part just spelled it out for you, but...
I think cheese is better than cake. Because you can have cheesecake, but you can't have cake cheese.
Gumball finds Principal Brown in his locker was not looking too good, and Miss Simeon finds him too and gets everyone in class.
I'm taking Principal Brown to the nurse's office! Nurse. Come back!
Why is Bob at Can't scary? So now the students have to debate with the corporate.
Well, I saw him at the end of school, so it must have happened after that.
So, who stayed after school yesterday?
I was doing cheerleader stuff.
I was cleaning late.
I had detention.
I can't remember.
Gumball claims that he's innocent, so he looks for different clues from the other suspects to find the culprit. I like the two theories he proposed for the two first suspects. It's really funny. And it's cool that we try to replicate different genres of this sort of detective plot or something like that. Also, the way these theories are debunked are just funny, especially the one with the way it was legit walking everyone at the school with toilet paper on his shoe. Gumball is the last suspect though, so he runs away and everyone is trying to catch him.
Bubber! Ah! Don't turn me in! Oh, you've been switched off. Ah! Don't turn me in!
Why?
Principal Brown was attacked and everyone thinks it was me!
Robert knows what actually happened, so he plays his memory to the class the moment they were about to catch Gumball. Basically, someone flew at our street that's possible one and he fell down onto the stuff that was mentioned before and landed directly into Gumball's locker.
Why didn't you say something before?
Well, it was so funny, I blew a fuse. I was like, ha, 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 ha.
It turns out that Miss Simeon was a culprit, but she doesn't want to grow up and decides to erase Papa's memory. And then she receives the consequences of her actions.
Has anyone seen Miss Simeon?
Really good episode overall. Good work on the mystery aspect.
Hey, Dad, can you pass the sugar?
Sure, Gumball. Here's the sugar.
Richard makes a prank on Gumball, so he and Darwin makes a bunch of pranks to him back, even though their mom warns them about it.
Step 1. Go out onto the roof of the house. Step 2. Take off all of your clothes. Step 3.
They really take advantage on Richard's stupidity in this episode. He's still not as funny as Mr. Spore, but he's right behind him.
Step 5. Realize you've just been pranked. Step 6. Try and fit down the chimney head first.
They eventually go too far and they actually put their own father's life at risk in one of those pranks.
Dad! Are you okay? Can I get you something to eat or something?
No, I still have plenty of coconuts.
What happened to your clothes?
I ate them.
Now he's pissed, and when Gumball and Darwin realized their mistakes, it was a bit too late for them, so they decide to get into one of their dad's most recent prank.
Okay, prepare to get wet. What the what?
Alright, they are stepping up their games a bit. Richard is being weird and creepy and is chasing the kids around the house. So the kids are hiding inside the house to try and get away from him. They get cornered and Richard was just about to catch them, but then it turns out it was all a prank.
It's always funny when the joke's on someone else.
You almost dropped a block of solid concrete on our heads!
Yeah, I have no idea what happened with that. It was wet when I poured it in.
Really thought that Richard... Oh, I keep saying the French versions of the names. Really thought that Richard did it on purpose because of that chase sequence. My dad wasn't really feeling it when Richard would put a block of concrete in that bucket. I mean, can't blame him, but it really does make sense with how this character is written. And at least both him and his kids learned a lesson at the end. Yeah, this episode was alright.
Please, Ma! Please! S'il te plaît? Por favor! Vita!
I really want to do karate.
Gumball and Darwin wants to learn karate, so Nico bought them karate suits. But they don't really do that since they immediately become obsessed with these clothes. Everyone at school is laughing at them except for Penny, which worries Nico a lot. The kids doesn't realize that though and they continue acting.
Okay, dude. You know what a true warrior needs for a good warm-up?
Mittens and a scarf?
No, Darwin son. Inspiration.
Every time I look in the mirror, all I see.
I sound like I'm just recapping the episodes for 1 hour straight, but that's because there's not really a whole lot of interesting things to talk about in these episodes. Season 1 is really tame compared to Season 2. After thinking that their kids will wear these clothes for the rest of their lives, Nicole tries to talk to Webb.
Check out Darwin's sweet scissor kick.
When did you post this?
We didn't. Some kids at school did.
Boys, look at the title. Taekwondo Dorks.
Gumball has one joke and it's funny every time video. Nicole tells them a story about their dad, who believed he was some sort of a superhero when he was a kid, and he was being laughed at by everyone except for her.
Costume geek!
Leave him alone! At least he's brave enough to be himself.
Wait, isn't this guy the criminal from the Spoon, but younger? I mean, I kinda think that he is. Don't they both look similar?
Well, whatever happened to the cape?
Well, I managed to get it off him and hide it.
What? You mean the president didn't really need my cape?
I'm sorry, honey.
It's because of you, I'm mortal!
You see, that's the kind of state you can get into when you refuse to grow up.
Gumball and Darwin decides that it's best for them to stop wearing the outfits, and they make a song about that.
Life's about abandoning dream after dream.
Hopes and expectations float away downstream.
This song is not as good as the previous one. It sounds kinda generic, I don't really know why, but the visuals are pretty good at least. I was about to compare that song to the songs from those Disney princess movies, but I'm not sure if the comparison actually makes sense. It just reminds me of that for some reason. Anyways, they immediately wear their costumes back and they hide their costumes behind another layer of clothes, but it's more realized the moment she finds out that they lied about it.
Okay, let's get these dorky clothes off.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna keep mine on.
What?
Mom's kinda right. This is a bit lame.
Are you crazy? Is that lame?
Nah, it's pretty awesome.
Gumball tries to break a bunch of planks of wood with his hands, but he miserably fails and now he becomes a laughing stock to everyone. But then we get an exact repeat of Nico's story.
Hey, leave him alone. If he wants to wear karate clothes, let him. At least he's brave enough to be himself.
Then the episode ends with Nicole giving the cape back to Richard. This episode was probably the least interesting episode in the whole show. I don't know. So this is Granny JoJo's first appearance. I didn't really care that much for her in this episode, probably because of other stuff in the episode. She's already a lot more funny in season 2, so there's that at least.
Where's the blue one?
Here I am.
Say my name.
Come on, Gumball. Just get it over with.
Granny JoJo accidentally kisses Gumball on the lips and is now traumatized, and everything he sees reminds him of her.
Let's smell these flowers. Daffodils. They kind of smell like
Granny JoJo!
Anais is on her own and she has to bring JoJo's clothes suitcase to her room, but it's so heavy and to be honest, I'm struggling to talk about the plot of the episode because it's mostly very boring. Gumball's nightmare was pretty cool though.
Oh man, that was intense.
Gumball. Maybe you'll never get over that kiss.
Then you need to fight fire with fire.
Won't that burn the house down?
No. I mean, he's gotta go through something much worse to forget about Grandma's kisses.
Unfortunately, they take Eddie's advice and Darwin puts Gumball into a bunch of really gross stuff.
Welcome to level 1! The leap of faith!
Leap of faith. Sounds easy enough.
Oh, did I say the leap of faith?
I meant the leap of filth!
Look, I've seen The Cringe before, and I would much rather watch that than watch The Kiss, to be honest. And The Cringe is one of my least favorite episodes, by the way. I mean, I see what they are trying to say here, but I think they did way too much of that.
The good news is, this is the last level. The bad news is, this is the worst.
Cut back to Granny Jojo. Gumball doesn't remember anything about the case now, and he goes back home. And Dennis actually managed to bring the suitcase to Jojo's room.
I carried your suitcase up to your room.
Oh, well, good for you, dear. Now bring it back down. My bus will be here any minute.
This episode is a huge step down from the previous ones. I did not like it at all.
Am I invited?
Am I invited?
Am I invited?
Guys! Let me cut to the chase here, alright? You're all invited!
Yay! A high school party! We're all invited!
None of you are invited! Oh, hi, Rachel.
So this is Tobias' big sister Rachel, and this is the only episode where she has a speaking role. She did appear in other season 1 episodes, but unlike Rob, she pretty much never appeared in the other seasons except for one mention in a season 5 episode, this one right there. However, she worked really great in this single major role.
Fine, you can come.
Yes!
But you all have to bring a date.
A date?
Uh-huh. Good luck.
What's a date?
Gumball is looking for a date just like everyone else, so he tries to propose to the girls at school, only to be rejected by every single one of them that he asks to.
Hey, what about Penny?
Penny? Oh, no. I just like her as a friend.
Why are your eyes shaped like hearts?
Allergies.
He doesn't choose Penny even though he has a crush on her, but force himself to let it for a girl that he doesn't care about because he's too scared. I liked it more when he was completely open about it in the later seasons, but anyways.
What's that?
Would you be the jelly in my peanut butter sandwich?
What do you say, Gumball?
No thanks. I already ate.
He chooses Tina, and Rachel drives him to Tobias' house and gives him emotional support on the way in.
I'm so proud of you. My baby boy's becoming a man.
Yeah, keep it together, Dad.
It seems like only yesterday we were watching Daisy the donkey together.
Dad, that was yesterday.
Penny is very disappointed in Gumball for dating Tina. I mean, she's kinda right, I just don't like the way Gumball acts in this episode. They all go to Rachel's party and they do a bunch of comedic things.
Anyone for more tea?
Don't mind if I do.
Woohoo! This is such fun!
That is not your voice, Alan. Miss Simeon was spying on them throughout the episode, and she interrupted the party with Mr. Brown to turn the party into a mega rave that destroys Rachel's house.
Hey, dude, I'm trying to sleep here.
Sorry.
Darwin tries to comfort Rachel a bit and decides to tidy up the whole house after the party.
Thanks. What's your name?
Darwin, Raglan, Caspian, Ahab, Poseidon, Nicodemus, Watterson III.
You don't seem so bad for a kid.
Tell that to Larry. I'm not upping my kiss, am I? Anyways, I really liked how they are trying to get as many jokes as possible about the topic of each episode, just like we saw earlier.
Gumball, do you remember that paper plane?
Oh yeah. Will you be the jelly in my peanut butter sandwich? I wasn't really hungry.
No, silly. I was the peanut butter.
What? Oh, I was supposed to be the jelly, wasn't I?
You seriously didn't understand?
No.
Darwin gets kissed by Rachel and passes out, and Gumball and Penny were just about to kiss when suddenly...
I think your dad's here.
Good episode overall. I'm guessing that they made this episode to compensate for that previous episode with a concert section. They can't all be winners, I guess.
Look, Darwin, we waited more than 7 months for this.
I know! We waited so long, I had time to grow hair.
Huh? Whoa, may I touch it?
You may.
Nice.
Thanks.
The cartridge doesn't fit, so they try to get a refund at Riley to force it. But Larry can't do refunds because the boss don't want him to do that.
This is not the end of it, Larry Needlemeyer! Mark my words! We will get a refund! Hi, Larry. Can we have a refund, please?
Get out of here.
Gumball proceeds to do the thing for the laziest second and tries everything to get Larry to do the refund.
Then I'll go outside and swap it for this computer game!
Hey, what kind of police are you?
The super real police! The refund department of justice!
Nice try, kids.
Darn!
I'm really interested in the games inside the store. I mean, there's not that many, there's like 50 of each game on the shelves. I'm not entirely sold on the eye diagram as one of the posters though. Gumball and Darwin proceeds to do a fake sort of PSA about stores not doing refunds to convince Larry, and then they sing this song.
Refund the world! Refund it sooner! Uphold the rights that little Jimmy had as a consumer!
So that's a parody of a song called We Are the World According to My Dad. I mean, this whole section is so funny, but the parallels between the two songs are just hilarious, especially due to the fact that the original song is about children starving in Africa. It didn't work anyway, so after harming themselves, they meet up with their dad and it agrees to help them to get their refund.
Wait, if you're going to do something, you gotta do it right. Now how do I look?
Actually, you look like your wedding picture.
Perfect.
Richard actually robs the store and meets up with a manager who looks like this and is losing to him, so Gumball decides to expose the manager.
We'll put the security video online. What do you think the internet will say when it sees you slapping your customers with your little hands?
That it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
The manager doesn't want to lose money and well, Gumball and Darwin doesn't get a refund, but they get a used discount on a little something.
Dad, he sold us a shredder.
That's at least a bit better because it's a lot more on par of what they did to Larry. This one was okay. The highlight was definitely the VHS tape section and the song parody, but the rest is not bad either. And I think I'm going to end it off right there because this video will probably end up being more than 1 hour. I'm going to share my review of the other half of season 1 for another video, and when it's finished, I'll leave a link in the description of that video. Oh, and that if you're watching this, you can leave some personal thoughts about any of the episodes I've talked about. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.